In this video, we're going to show you how to move an established fish tank to another part of the house. The first thing we need to do is to catch all of the livestock out of the tank and transport them into a temporary home. To do this, we're just going to drop the water level a little bit, fill up a bucket, and then we can transport them in that bucket. The bucket I'm using is nice and dark so they can stay sort of safe and secure. A bright white bucket or a see-through bucket, it's a bit like a bag that you buy them in the fish shop. They should ideally be covered at all times, kept dark, and that way they'll stay calmer. As we don't want to destroy the scape, we're going to use two nets, a smaller one to try and chase the fish out of the dense areas of plants, and then a larger one to catch them when they're out in the open. Doing it this way, it reduces the stress on the fish because you're not chasing them around the tank all the time, and also helps you avoid ripping up and damaging the plants or knocking the hardscape. This tank here was set up yesterday using water from the aquarium that we're moving today. This means the fish can go straight in without having to worry about them, leaving us one less thing to think about while we're moving this tank. Up until this point, we have been keeping the filter running because we want to keep the bacteria alive. However, it's time to empty the tank, so we do need to turn it off now. To keep the bacteria as healthy as possible, what we're going to do is empty the filter of water and then seal the filter back up. That way, the filter media stays damp but is well oxygenated, ensuring that most of the bacteria should stay alive in the short period of time that this filter won't be running. So with the tank now drained, I obviously need to act quite quickly. I don't want the plants to dry out because they will get damaged and die off potentially. So I need to act as fast as possible. I'm just going to go and clear the route to the new location that this tank is going. Check all the doors are open, prop them open, make sure there's no trip hazards, and then we can get started with lifting. So my plan is I'm going to pick up this tank. I'm going to move it onto another flat surface that will support its weight, empty. Then I can relocate the cabinet and then move the tank onto the cabinet once I'm ready. Unfortunately, there wasn't a second person to help me move this aquarium, so I've had to do it myself. However, using two people is a much better method. You'll be able to keep the aquarium more level, more stable, and reduce the chance of substrate and hardscape slipping and sliding all over the place. Because the cabinet is now situated in a new position on some new flooring, we do need to double check that it is still level. We can adjust the feet if needed. With the cabinet now leveled, we can bring the tank in and place it on top of it. And then it is time to fill it back up. We kept over half of the water that came out of this aquarium in buckets so that it can go straight back in. This is important if the fish were going straight back in tonight, but also because this tank is heavily dominated by crypts, sudden large changes in water chemistry are really prone to causing crypt melt occurring even in mature established tanks, so I wanted to try and avoid that. With the tank now filled with a mix of old water and dechlorinated tap water, it is now time to install the filter. Hopefully with these methods we shouldn't see the cycle crashing at all, and that ammonia and nitrite readings should stay at 0. And there we have it. The tank has been successfully moved without too much trouble. The fish are not going to go into this tank tonight. That's why I put them in a temporary tank. If I didn't have a temporary tank and they had to go straight back in, they could have just sat in a bucket or a bag for a few hours. It's no different than them traveling, well, all over the world really, but at least home from the fish shop. But I had a spare tank, I had a spare filter with mature media, and it means they don't have to go back in here tonight. The benefit of that is that I can come back tomorrow. So I've got loads of detritus. A lot of the aqua soil has sort of tumbled forward during the move. There's biofilms and stuff that just need tidying up, and I can do a really heavy clean tomorrow without any livestock in there. I'm not going to stress them out further that way, and then I can introduce them in a couple of days when the tank is looking better again and I know that everything is settled, the filter's still working, there's no leaks, and all of that. So yeah, it just removes a bit of a headache really, rather than it being a necessity. It is now the next day and the tank's not looking too bad, to be fair. However, the foreground does still need sorting out. All of the aquarium soil that's fallen to the front and the detritus that has sort of been disturbed and now settled needs to be siphoned out. With the tank now looking good again, it is time to introduce the fish back into it. Because I've done 2 rather large water changes on this aquarium since I've removed the fish, the water parameters do run the risk of being slightly different. So I am going to gently acclimatise them back into this aquarium using the normal methods that you would if you were buying a fish. For this, we are going to use a fish bag, but you could just as easily use the bucket that we used earlier in the video. To make catching the fish easier, we're just going to remove this temporary clump of Java fern that was added to the tank to help the fish feel settled and secure. Once all the fish are in the bag, they can be floated on top of the tank like you would with a new addition. The fish are in, the lights are on, and everything looks almost as good as it did before we moved it. So overall, job well done.